as statement of fact.
I can't believe we're doing this already.
And corrections are encouraged.
Can we get a cup of coffee in here, please?
No coffee today. Coffee is for closers. Put it away. We don't want to do a show today. I want to go back to bed. No show today. I quit. I'm out of here. I don't want to do this. You can't make me do this. I refuse. I'm not going to do a show. I will not.
Damn good coffee and hot.
Okay, I'll do a show if I have to. Good morning, people of Earth. It is Monday, your favorite day, I guess. Monday, the 22nd of August in 2022. 2022. It's 8/22/2022 or something. I can't believe I'm still alive. Listen, 12 hours is not that much. I should not be this exhausted, but I had a hell of a day yesterday. I hope you had a great weekend. In case you're wondering what this old grumbly old man is grumbling about and don't know, we did a 12-hour show for Christine Levine on Saturday. And as usual, lots of hiccups, lots of things we planned on doing that didn't come through. Lots of, shit happens types of events. But we did up the GoFundMe total over $1,000 on that day, on just that one day. And since we announced that we were going to be doing the show and started sharing the stuff, the donations were up $11,000. Was at just about $8,000 when we announced, and when we ended on Saturday night, it was at $19,666. Today it is over $20,000. The goal was $25,000. So still asking for people to look inside their hearts and come up with a couple of bucks, but made a difference, and that's all we can ask for. Fun? Some of it was fun. Some of it was stressful, but worthwhile cause nonetheless. And yesterday, and I will talk about it during the week. Obviously, I don't have a lot of guests booked up this week. I have 2 guests for the morning shows booked up all week. No guest host going to happen. I have Dean coming on Wednesday. That's one of the guests I'm thinking. We're going to do some recap. He was he was disappointed in the show in how it worked out for him. And listen, I'll talk about it on Wednesday. I'm not going to talk about it beforehand. It makes no sense. I want to talk about it with him on the air. But I will say there were some disappointments for everybody. There always are. That's part of the game. Welcome to the world of live streams. Every fucking day I'm filled with disappointments of one measure or another. So there's that. Now, some of the highlights for me. I'm just going to put this out there. And I love Jess. She's a very, very special woman. So I don't want to sound like a misogynist pig, but I think more men and probably some L&B women were more interested in fake pie, than you can imagine because of cleavage. I made myself cough there. Cleavage. The shot. The angle that Jess was working on the pies was very cleavy. And I can imagine scrolling through Facebook and seeing that. I would have to stop. I don't know if YouTube's not the same thing. You're not scrolling through. They show you recommended videos. So they're not, and then they're going to show you thumbnails. They're not going to show you the cleavage shot. But Facebook with the live stuff and Twitter with the live stuff, you're scrolling through. You see the cleaves working on the pie, cleavage working on the pie. You're going to stop and say, hey, what's all the cleavage about? So that was a highlight. A long highlight because she was with us for about 2.5 hours. Now, I feel a little piggy even talking about, but I have to say women brought it up before even, although it was in the back of my mind. I wanted to say something about it. And then Mishka made a comment about it, which was what we were all thinking anyway. But the fascination is that you never seen so many men care about fake pies in your life before that moment. So that was interesting. Another, I guess I'm gonna stay on a misogynist role here. I don't know. Another highlight for me was having Erica Rhodes on. Finally got her on the program. She said she actually enjoyed it and is willing to come back sometime. And okay, making progress there. You know, if you listen to the program, you know how hard I've been trying to get her to come on. Maybe not so much the morning show because she's in LA and it would be very early for her, but whatever, morning show, evening show. Matt Knutson was another highlight because these are people I had not met before and was really eager to meet. Henry Phillips fucking knocked me out. Henry is the funniest fucking understated comedian because his delivery is such that he's the antithesis of like somebody like Jerry Diamond who just laughs at his jokes. Henry will say something just matter of factly, quietly, that is hysterically funny and not even acknowledge that he's just said something hysterically funny. If you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. But it's out there. I love Henry. He's a superstar in my book. Those were the highlights. We had Billy Wayne Davis on. Obviously, that's always a highlight for me, talking to Billy. Stanhope was kind of a disappointment, but in a weird way, who cares? He showed up and lent his name to the thing, which is enough. He had some connection problems and was only on for really less than 2 minutes. He tried to come back a couple of times, didn't work out, and gave up. And we're fine with that. Andy, of course, Andy the hero, on 4 times during the day, extended periods each time. I can't say enough about Andy and Brett and everybody who contributed. I want to thank everybody who contributed on the back end. Kelly and Dean and William Conway, Carl Hungus, who volunteered to help. I didn't really put him to work, but he was ready, willing, and able, and put him out there. Of course, Carl and Jamie and Craig. So many people who I hope I'm not forgetting anybody. It's early, and I apologize. I am burnt out. Am I forgetting anybody? I hope not. I really, 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 really hope not. So yesterday started like most Sundays do for me, in a soup kitchen, having some people question why I even bother going there if I don't go to church, because I don't believe what they believe, and I feel like the preacher is a grifter, and the whole thing is set up for grift. I don't like the fact that churches don't pay taxes but take in all this money, and they don't really use that money in what I would consider a great way. I mean, a great way would be things like what we were doing on Saturday, but no, they do it to build up the church, add a new audiovisual system to the church, and new stuff to the theater of the church. Buy the preacher some really fancy snakeskin boots. That's why I don't go to church. And also, I just don't believe what they believe. They literally, people that believe in a book that was written by so many different people, just sounding like fairy tales. I just don't believe it. So that's why I don't go to church. Anyway, that's how I started today. Now, I had made a commitment to take my grandson crabbing for the first time in his life. If you've never gone crabbing, blue claw, it's too early for me to say, blue claw crabs. Big thing here on Long Island from July until September, partly because they taste delicious. Sorry, vegans. And partly because they are so easy to catch normally. Crabbing is not, and it only happens on the South Shore, not on the North Shore where I am. There's no blue claw crabs because we're on the Long Island Sound. But on the Great South Bay, crabbing is not a difficult. It certainly could never be a sport. It's not like fishing. There's no real skill involved, which is why I'm for it. Basically, you go and you can do it from the dock. You don't have to be in a boat. You go to the dock, you shine a light on the water. The crabs see the light, they come swimming up to the light, and you scoop them up with a net and put them in your bucket. But it was very rough seas last night, and so the pickings were slim, and all we were getting were too small. Got to throw them back. Already dead. Already dead crab. Hey, I'm not going to take that home and eat it. Who knows what it died of? So we came home empty-handed, but it was a fun experience. Got to bond a little bit with my grandson, be out on a hot summer night. First time he had seen Fire Island from across the water at night, and it was kind of like a magical view, and he had never seen it before. Like, what's all those lights out there? That's Fire Island. Wow, that looks so cool. Yeah, it does look cool. And got to tell him a little bit of the history of why, all about Fire Island and the Great South Bay. And he got to learn a little bit about 10 years old, he's never done that before. So that was a fun time. And we're going to go back next weekend and definitely get some crabs. The problem is it was just too rough last night. And I was out there with a kind of a weak light and a small net. There were people out there with like fucking searchlights and gigantic nets, and they weren't doing well. But they did a little better than us. They had one or two. Anyway, so that was that. And then I came home, and I decided to go for a walk and smoke a joint. Oh, so you're judgmental now, aren't you? Just to kind of, think about the day and the weekend and how things were. And as I'm outside and walking by the beach area here, I look up, and 500 feet above me, I see a UFO. Yes, I saw a UFO. Now, don't say I'm nuts just yet. I'm not saying it was an alien craft. I'm saying it was a UFO. It was a flying object, huge flying object, horseshoe shaped. I've never seen anything. I've never seen an airplane, or I have seen some helicopters that have sort of horseshoe-shaped things underneath them, landing pods and stuff like that. This was not that. This was only 500 feet off the ground, in my estimation. Not more than like 500 feet off the ground. It was huge, and it was silent. And it had a rim of lights and like I-beams that went around that horseshoe shape, and a rim of very bright white lights. They weren't colored lights, like no red lights like you would see on an airplane or a helicopter. Bright, pure white lights around the rim of the bottom of the horseshoe shape. And the thing was silent. I mean, completely silent, but moving slow, not moving fast at all. And I watched it for a minute. Now, full disclosure, I was smoking pot, and I was getting high, not hallucinating. I promise you, this was a real thing. And it was moving across just about maybe, I don't know, 1,000 yards from shore, but 500 feet up in the air or so. And clear as day. And it was going along. And then all of a sudden, it went really fast, and increased altitude exponentially. So it was like all of a sudden 5,000 feet instead of 500 feet up in the air and zooming across, and then it was gone. Boom, like that. 30 seconds later, an airplane comes by making full noise, and this thing was about 2,000 feet up, and I could hear it plain as day. So it wasn't like sound waves were being pushed out to the sea instead of coming in. Just a very weird experience. And for me, it's something to behold when you see something like that and you can't explain it. And you don't want to sound like a loon. You don't want to certainly jump to the conclusion that, oh, it must be aliens, like just because you see something like that. But it was a pretty inspirational moment. Like, what the fuck was that? And I did not have my phone with me because I was out to smoke a joint. But it was a hot summer night. Summer is waning, to say the least. But there were people out, beach people, who were just trying to soak up, even though it was 11 p.m. on a Sunday. There were some people still trying to, get those last minutes of summer beach in. We get a lot of traffic from the Hamptons back to New York City in airplanes and helicopters this time of year, just as it goes the other way in late May or early June. You see a lot of traffic in the air from New York City to the Hamptons. This time of year, they're going back. It's the rich folks that live in New York City and Manhattan commuting back and forth. This was not that. Now, there is a nuclear sub base directly across from where I am, the nuclear submarine base in Groton, Connecticut, directly across the Sound. So it could have been military. It was just a very, I don't know, uncertain moment. That's all I will say about it. But it's not the first time I've seen and something that I couldn't identify in the sky, but it was definitely the clearest view I've seen of this. It certainly looked man-made because of the I-beams that were along the bottom. It looked like, it did not look like super advanced technology, whatever that I imagine that might look like. Didn't look sci-fi. It looked like could have been made by men. The only thing that really, well, the horseshoe shape in a flying object, it wasn't a blimp. It looked like steel, definitely some kind of metallic thing, and you just don't see that in a flying object. And then the rapid speed of acceleration and altitude increase blew me away. Like, wow, what is that? It wasn't a drone. It wasn't a helicopter. It wasn't a balloon. It wasn't an airplane. It wasn't a blimp. What was it? I don't know. So maybe we'll find out. Maybe there'll be something about it in the papers today, because I, as I said, there were other people on the beach. I could hear voices on the beach. So I know there were people out who saw this thing besides me. But the clearest I've ever seen a UFO, unidentified flying object. I'm not saying UFO as an alien. I just want to say that. I'm gonna go say hello to the chat room, see who's in there. Hold on one second. Kelly, good morning, Kelly. Thank you so much for your service this weekend. Dean, thank you for your service. We'll talk on Wednesday. Craig, thank you for your service. We'll talk always. Tom K, good to see you there. Tom says, we used to catch crabs Jersey Blues off the docks in New Jersey, Lavalette as kids, and 10 years later we tried to avoid catching them in New York City. I was successful at both. Yeah, I wish I could say. And Mike Zinn said steampunk. I don't know what you mean by steampunk. I have to look. What's the reference there, please? Anyway, so that was my UFO story. That's my crabbing story, and that's that. But I was a little bit rattled by it. I wasn't. Craig says, scary or no? No, not scary. Awe-inspiring, a wonder inspiring. Like, what the fuck was it? How could something make no noise, no sound whatsoever, and be flying along not that far? Like, there was no engine to it at all. And even when it accelerated extremely fast, I mean, just whoosh, no sound at all. And then up, no sound at all. And then it was gone. Very weird thing. We'll see if there's something in the paper about it. Maybe I shouldn't be talking about it. Maybe if it was something from Groton, the sub base, I'll get a visit from the military saying, shh, you shouldn't have seen that. A UFO with I-beams. Is steampunk? Michael Zinn is, oh, I thought you were on Facebook and now you're on YouTube. People are all over the place. Anyway, so I am a little burnt out this morning. Now I have a corporate gig today, right after the show. And it's far away. It's in Tim Dillon's hometown of Oceanside, New York. I believe, maybe I shouldn't say this. I believe some of he might have one of his relatives. That's all I'll say. I probably have said too much already. Wait, William's got a long comment here. I got it. If you read some of the reports that have been declassified now, you'll see a lot of similar stories from Air Force fighter pilots. You know, I've had Air Force fighter pilots on my evening show, and I always ask them if they've ever seen UFOs, and none of them have. None of them have. Carl Hungus told me he's one of the guys who volunteered to help out with the Podathon. He told me he's an airline pilot. I did not know that. I wanted to ask him. It would be good to get him on just for a few minutes. Ask him, as an airline pilot, chances are he's seen some of this kind of stuff you can't explain. I don't jump to the conclusion that it's alien ever. Not that I discount this almost certain possibility of life elsewhere in this universe or other universes. It's just like, why bother? Why bother with these stupid humans? You could tell from a universe away these people ain't worth visiting. What they got? It's like I don't want to bring up analogies that make me sound like an elitist, but you can tell groups of people that you don't want to get involved with without having to get too close to them. So I would imagine that aliens could take a good look through a long lens and say, fuck that planet. Ain't nothing happening there that's of good to anybody. Well, maybe they would want us to not blow up the planet because it might have adverse effects on the universe as a whole, on our solar system, whatever. Who knows? But I don't believe in aliens visiting just yet. Nobody's convinced me of that anyway. Not impossible, certainly possible. Just I don't believe it yet. I have to see more evidence that it's aliens. So I have to see an alien for myself to believe it. Show me. I'm a Missourian at heart. I'm from the Show Me State. Never been. I'm not from that fucked up state. Now we're talking about people that I can tell from far away. I don't want to go to Missouri. I've driven through Missouri. I would never be from Missouri. I've driven through there. It's a very weird place. Anyway, I'm going off on tangents. Davis Sutton will be here at 10 o'clock, or maybe not. If you recall, I said similar things last Monday. Davis Sutton is a young comedian. Where's he from? Davis, is in Tampa, Florida, I think. Hold on, let me check this again. I think he's in Tampa, Florida. Who knows? You probably don't even care, do you? Do you people? I think he's in Tampa, Florida. West Shore Boulevard. Yeah, doesn't say towns everywhere. Tampa, Florida. Yes. Anyway, Davis was supposed to be here last Monday, and come 10 o'clock, he wasn't here, and I went looking for him, and then sent him a message, and didn't get a response. And the show ended, and he still had not shown up. And during that show, I think Carl was on at the time, and I started blasting Davis for everybody else who had come before him, who had stood me up, every other guest who had not shown up. And then I realized in real time, and kind of corrected myself, that was kind of unfair to do, to blast this young man for everybody else that come before him. Now that didn't mean I was completely letting him off the hook. I was still pissed at him, but I had to kind of dial it back a little bit, that even though I was a little pissed at him, I couldn't take my overall gigantic frustration with dozens. Now it really is dozens of people who have, between the nighttime show and the morning show, who have either canceled on extremely short notice, not canceled at all, and not shown up, all that kind of stuff. So I was beating up on him a little bit, and then I dialed it back. And I got one off the air, and at about 11:30, which is about a half hour after the program ended, I got a message on Facebook. Sorry, I had the wrong date in my calendar. I have it for next Monday. I thought that a lame excuse and didn't bother to even reply. I was like, okay, that's what you're going with? All right, fine. Sounds like bullshit to me. And I went on with my day. About 10 p.m. that night, after I got done with my evening show, I got another Facebook message from him. Said, I just listened to the program. That shows me something. He got some kind of integrity there. He went and listened to the show, and he was apologizing. He said, I'm sorry that other people have fucked you over too, or not shown up. And I really feel bad about it, which that showed me something. So I said back, I replied back to him at that point. I said, you want to try again next Monday, which is today, which was the day he originally thought it was going to be. And he said, yeah. I said, well, keep in mind, I am going to bust your balls. I'm going to bust your balls hard about it, because, but it won't be like vicious or with mean intent. It will be in a fun way, because I let things go, but I never miss an opportunity to bust balls about things. And he said he was fine with that. Okay. So the week went by, and last night I was preparing, or yesterday morning, preparing all the bucket for this week and putting the schedule together. And I sent him his link for tomorrow. Today. He said, I'll be there if I feel like it. Just kidding. So that shows me he's either a wise ass punk who really wants to take me on, or he's got a sense of humor, and which most, of course, is a requirement for a comedian, and is going to roll with this very well. We'll see. We'll see if he shows up. I hope he does. That will really show me something, and I will be very happy if he does show up, because I tend to lose faith in. I don't know. I sound like a fucking grandpa. I am a grandpa. But I lose faith in the younger generation when shit like that happens. And this young man has the potential to restore some faith in young people for me today. So we'll see if he shows up. That will be a good thing. He did. I'll talk to him about when he comes. When and if he comes in. If he doesn't come in, I'm going to end early because I do have a corporate gig to get to early this afternoon. Now, I'm bringing my Mishka Shubali voice with me, by the way, to a corporate gig. If you're not familiar with a corporate gigs work like this. It's a huge part of a company within a corporation. You go to their building and they immediately bend you over and give you a prostate exam before they even let you in the building. I mean, that symbolically, of course, not literally. You got to go through all the security, all that kind of stuff, sign in, get your badge, probably do a rapid COVID test. Then they wheel you off to a gigantic, not boardroom, meeting room, like assembly room, almost like a small theater, but an assembly room for where they have their big meetings and there's like whiteboards and stuff set up. And you go in and they open the session generally with some really stuffed suit, giving about 10 to 15 minutes. Supposedly, it's always supposed to be just a 3-minute intro, and it goes on for about 10, 15 minutes while he puts the crowd to sleep. And now we have a really special treat for you. Matt Nappo is going to play for you some original music that he has written. He's a singer-songwriter. Oh, yeah, and here comes Mishka Shubaly's great-granddad. And I go in and perform for people who have just been put to sleep in their chairs, wearing suits, mind you, on a Monday morning. Well, it will be lunchtime for them by then. And basically playing for them, not any cover material, but songs that they've never heard before that I have written. And my songs are not morbidly sad and and emotional, maybe. Well, sometimes emotional, but not like, it's not like Mishka stuff that is just about the downside of life and dealing with addiction and all those kind of things. It's not like that. But it is, it's music they're not familiar with. I do that for 45 minutes and then I'm done. But it's an unusual experience in that you can tell that a lot of the applause, if there, I'm hoping there'll be applause, but if there is applause, it's just a polite applause. Not that they're really into this stuff. And listen, you got to put yourself in their shoes. You got this ho-hum corporate suit wearing bullshit job. Got one of two attitudes. Either I hate my life and I want to kill myself now, or I love this job and I got a lot to do and I'm a gangbuster and I want a promotion and I really want to get things done. Those are the two mindsets you're playing for. So the people who are just like, I hate my life, I hate my cubicle, I just they're there, they're trying to zone out. This is a 45 minutes that they don't have to pretend they're working if somebody walks by. And they get a kind of a nap time at work in their view. This is true. This is how they think. And then you have a handful of people who are the go-getters, the ambitious type, who are thinking, this is a waste of my time. I could be out there making a sale. I could be out there finishing that marketing campaign. I could be out there impressing the boss to get my promotion. Those are the two types of people you're paying for. Playing original music with a stuffy sunflower stuffed nose and a voice that sounds like Tom Waits got run over by a truck. This is going to be my day. And then I come back home and prepare for an author again tonight. And after this weekend, man, it just feels like, what the fuck? Why am I still doing this? Now, I'm coming up on my 200th show already for the morning show, Coffee with the Dog. I forgot the name of it. Is it Coffee with the Dog? Yes, it is. 200th episode will be next Monday. But I'm already thinking about maybe it's time to call it a show with this thing. Now, I have to say, I've said this before, I'm a moody bastard. And just because I feel like calling it a show now, one great guest, one really enjoyable conversation is all it will take to get me to say, no, I got another 500 shows in me, easy. So we'll see where it goes. You never know with me. I'm very impulsive. Call me impulsive, call me compulsive, call me insane. But when I'm surrounded, I just can't stop. You know the lyrics. If you know the lyrics, you win something. I don't know what you win. But that's me. So we'll see how that goes. But the evening show, definitely. I only have 3 shows this week. I only had 2 on my calendar. One I guess I forgot to put on the calendar for tonight, which is a meet the author thing. All my shows this week, not the most stimulating for me. I want to, now that I've had some conversation. Now I want to get Erica on. I want to get Matt Knutson on. I want to get Henry Phillips on, all on the evening show. It would be wonderful to have them on the morning show because we have a more interactive chat room on the morning show. But they're in LA. I know it's asking a lot, especially of comedians, to get up and do a show which would be at 7 a.m. their time, which means they would have to probably get up at 6 a.m. to be, or 6:30 at least, to not be totally, zombified and still sleeping. So it's kind of, Craig says, am I ever tempted to be inappropriate with such crowds? Not only tempted, I have followed through with that temptation in ways that I was just looking at a memory from Facebook that from like 8 years ago, where I said to the crowd, because I work in bars, I work in places, that I have some really dive bars, and the show is pretty much the same, whether I'm in a dive bar, whether I'm doing a corporate gig, or whether I'm doing a nursing home gig. The show is pretty much the same. I remain the same, and the reaction from the audience is very different. Now, sometimes, like the nursing home gigs, it will appear. You get a look on like imagine this: you get into a cab and you realize that the driver is literally a gorilla, and your first thought is this fucking safe? is this even legal? This is the actual gorilla driving my cab. That's the look I get when I start to do my shows at nursing homes. Now, the corporate stuff, I could either get half the room on my side laughing and enjoying some of the inappropriate stuff for corporate stuff. The management usually hates it, and often I will get a lecture about it, like, wow, what made you go there? Because there is some really the sexual humor in some of my jokes. There is definitely some violent humor about violence and death and killing and crazy people, people in need of mental health care, a lot of that stuff. Not like dark, like not as nowhere near as dark as Michigan, but hopefully the aim is to be funny with the stuff. So, I see Kelly is a little pissed at me about the Missouri stuff because New York is so full of normals. No, not New York is not full of normals, but it's not full of contradictory or contradictions in morality. Missouri, I believe, leads the nation in Christian churches and porn stores. I believe that's an accurate statistic. You can look it up. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I believe last I checked, the contradiction and the hypocrisy in Missouri with the porn stores and churches. And I definitely know if you drive through, if you're not a resident and you drive through the state, it's impossible not to notice that. Sorry to get off the tangent I was going on about the corporate show. So there are many of them I get asked not to come back. Some of them I actually get asked to come back because they enjoy it, because I actually wake them up with some laughs and stuff. So there's that, and I didn't get a chance to kind of when I think it was when Erica and Hack were on. It was Erica, Hack, and Erickson, and I was talking about how frightened I was about having to do some stand up. I was like, I can't do that. And Erica said, you could do it. And Brett Erickson said, no, he can't. Don't encourage him. I can make jokes with a guitar. Well, most of when Mikey and I do acoustic shows, it's like a Smothers Brothers show, and I'm Tommy Smothers. I am making jokes the whole time, very comfortable in that there's somebody else with me on stage if things go wrong, as a barrier, and he's almost always the focal point of it anyway. Even though I'm making jokes, most of the jokes are about him. So there's that level of security. And then, it sounds trivial, but having a guitar to hold as a security blanket while you're telling your jokes, if they don't laugh, you could just start another song. That makes it different than doing stand-up. So why is stand-up frightening me so? Because I'm naked. It's me and a microphone and nobody else on stage to hide behind. This is my psychotherapy session right now. That's what terrifies me about doing. I don't care how many minutes stand-up is, and I don't even know. I don't have any presentation state. Like when I'm doing jokes behind a guitar with somebody else on stage, it's really in the moment. It's not like I have written jokes. Some of it is prepared stuff. Some of the stuff is stuff we repeat and I've done before, but a lot of it is just impromptu, improv, all that kind of stuff. So it's not like stand-up presentation. I have an act. I know what I'm going to say. I know I have an opener and a closer, and I know where my strongest material is and all that kind of stuff. It's a whole different world. So no, I think Brett Erickson is right. No, I can't do stand-up, and don't encourage me to do it. I may have to do it though, coming up pretty soon. What is Craig saying? Oh, well, Kelly came back and said, that's true, we're torn. So we're back being friends again. She's not angry at me about the Missouri stuff for the moment. Craig says, to be fair, there's 6 a.m. radio, then there's 6 a.m. worldwide cancer fighting podcast. Yeah, I don't know. And Scott Curtis labeled me as a shock jock. I don't think I'm a shock jock. You hear all sorts of stuff. Travis Lipke says, I just like to hear myself talk. No. if I just like to hear myself talk, which I know 45 minutes of me talking so far this morning, I would not have guests on if I just wanted to hear myself talk. I am interested in the guests. I think I have to. I can't just start by having the guests on, which is why I have them come on in the second hour. Maybe I'll start, and usually if I had a guest host, they would come on at 9:30, a half hour in, just to you know break the ice. Break the ice is a weird. Just to get started, get things rolling, so you're not right off the bat rolling into a conversation with somebody. I know a lot of podcasters do it, and my evening show is like that. I don't do much of a monologue. I just introduce them right in, and the conversation starts right away. This morning stuff, I because I get this, and now I'm gonna get in real trouble. When my wife wakes up, she's fully woke up. She gets into the day. As soon as her eyes open, she is present and ready to have a day. Me, when I wake up, you could talk to me, but I won't hear you. And if you expect me to be present in the conversation, I'm going to get angry. I can't stick with you. I can't hang with you. I can't focus on you. I'm just trying to kind of get out of a coma. I'm trying to realize who I am, what I am, and are there any brain cells left in the back that will still work and get me going? That's my main concern when I open my eyes. So if you're going to talk to me, I need some time, and that's what the starting out in the morning is. Yeah, I know. I mentioned earlier that she was over. Good catch there, Craig. I mentioned earlier that she's just over 20K now. We still need 5 more K, 5 more K for K. For the K lady, we need 5 more K. So why you call me a freak now? First, you're angry at me over the Missouri thing. Then you get, you kind of agree with me on the Missouri thing, and now you call me a freak. I'm talking to Kelly. You're all over the place. I think you better settle on one. Um, so that's why it generally an hour before the guests come on. I don't know. It seems to be working well. I'm generally ready for a conversation. More than ready. I'm ready now. If you would show up now, that would be good. And it would be good if you showed up a little early because, as I mentioned, I got to get to a corporate gig. I would love to end early today. We are brought to you by Governors. They're not sponsoring by any means. Shouldn't say brought to you by. We're on the Gov's Comedy Network. So let me show you what's going on at Gov this week, and we'll run through that really quick. Governors could share this. Why not share it? Go ahead. If you're not on Long Island or in the New York metro area, you probably don't care much about this, but fuck it. You're going to learn anyway. You're going to learn what's going on at Governor's, whether you like it or not. How about that? Governor's main room this week, August 26th. Is that this week already? No, tell me that's not this week already. It is, isn't it? The Great Long Island Laugh Off 2022 Finals. Roast Battle Royale on the 26th as well. Outdoor special event. Roast Battle. I was getting roasted a little bit by Carl and Jamie after the initial playing of that video, that very touching and funny video that they played. I'll talk about that more later. Mike Keegan, Captain America, in the Giggle Room on August 26th. Mike Keegan has a show on Go's Radio, Go's podcast. And he's not been on this show yet. I want to get him on the show. He has actually been on with some friends of mine on Bill's, and probably when I saw him live, he was probably the funniest guy in a 7 or 8 comic show when I saw him live. He didn't get credit for that. He wasn't the headliner of it because it was somebody else's gig, and the guy who was headlining was actually his very first comedy show ever, and he's headlining because he sold all the tickets. Everybody was there to see him. There were 500 friends and family filling the room just to see him, and there were 7 other comics that he, buffered the room with to kind of take the sting out of it being his first show. Very weird thing, first show and you're headlining to experienced comics, and they all went along with it. Well, fine, that's fine. But Mike Keegan was was probably the funniest guy on that show. On tour with General Hospital's Laura Wright and Cameron Matheson, special event on August 27th. That seems weird for a comedy club, doesn't it? Soap opera stars? Probably not for me. August 27th, stand-up showcase Gateway Comedy. Now, Gateway is the other place, so maybe we should move over to them right now because it seems like they got everything in the main room there. Let me go back and say Governor's Giggle Room. Anything different there? No, it's the same information on all 3 rooms. So that's the main location. Let's go over to Brokerage in Belmore and see what Moody McCarthy. Moody is his first name. Moody should be my first name, should it? He will be there at the Brokerage 26th and 27th. I guess that's Friday and Saturday. Tommy Gooch. That's probably the next weekend, right? So please be the next weekend, September 2nd and September 3rd. Yeah, that's got to be the next weekend. So that's all. That's this weekend at Belmore, the Brokerage, which great club, great place to see comedy at the Brokerage. Probably one of the better rooms I've ever seen comedy. And Moody McCarthy, who has the name I should have, Moody. And then Bohemia this weekend, stand-up comedy, Gateway Comedy presents stand-up showcase. Sunday Night Funnies, 8/28. That's what's going on this weekend. Okay, so now you know. Now you know. Who was the news guy? And now you know, or something like that. I don't know. It wasn't Murrow. One of those other guys. Good morning, Kevin is with us. Hey, dorks, I guess you're talking to Kelly mostly. Now she's mad at me again. I know you are, but what am I? Says Craig. See, what a snapback that is. Over here for failing at making bread, trying to be Bill Burr and bake and stuff, and I suck at it. Welcome to my world. Wright and Matheson are crushing it. Craig Johnson says, I could see Moody being your middle name, Matt. Well, Hank Moody from Californication was always kind of, I very much relate to that character because Hank's back there on the poster bear. Hank was my alter ego for many years, pissed a lot of people off, but his behavior was very much like Hank Moody in Californication. So, David Duchovny, great series. By the way, if I had to make a recommendation, even this late in the game, it's been out of production now for what, probably 10 years or more. I'm getting sunflower allergies again. Californication, one of the best series in my opinion that television has ever produced. That's a mafia street name. No, let's not go there. Let's really not go there. Good morning, William. By the way, I didn't say good morning to you, so good morning. Thanks for being part of that. You're a great sport. We probably should have made more out of that. Probably should have had you on when when people were saying no to you, because I think that would have been funnier. Sorry. I think failing to connect with people would have been funny. A Moody Troubadour. Is he going to be nice? Is he going to be on the rag? Come find out. I think that's pretty accurate. That's pretty accurate of what you're going to get with me today. Now, I am generally silly when I do these things, even though I can be tired and shit, but I definitely understand what stand-ups go through when their jokes aren't landing, because I get a lot of that at the corporate stuff, big time, where it doesn't seem like, I know they get it, but they're just not in the mood to laugh. And you wouldn't be either. I mean, this is an assembly that the boss is going to be giving an hour speech after I'm done that's going to bore your fucking brains out. And you probably just want to get it over with. And so there's 45 minutes of the bald grumble voice doing songs that are personal and meaningful to me and me alone, unless you know me and know my world, and then know my friends and know who the songs are about. Unless you know them, it's like not being in on the joke anyway. But the jokes that I tell in between, yeah, I probably get them, but they're just like, please, it's long enough. Can you just get it over with? Get the boss on here. Get this shit over with so I can go back to my cubicle. Maybe get on a Zoom meeting, jerk off, whatever I do, and just get it over with. And a Monday morning, too. It's usually, most often, they happen on, like, midweek days. Not on Mondays, not on Fridays. Generally, it's one of the 3 other work days. Because Monday is just nobody wants to be there, and Friday everybody's already checked out. They're on their way out. I got 4 minutes for David Sutton. We should say maybe we should go to mybookie.com and take bets on whether Davis is going to show up today. Do you think? Maybe not. I'm just checking Facebook, which is my main contact for him. Nothing from him yet. We'll see. Maybe I should play sponsors piece while we're waiting for him. Today's show. Who we brought to you by today? Oh, no, not them. No, we are not. We'll go with TrueFire.com is sponsoring this program today. You want to learn how to play guitar? Learn how to play guitar online. Don't be a sucker. Don't be going to the mall and spending $45 for a half-hour lesson every week from some kid who is going to teach you to play Stairway to Heaven and Freebird. No. That's a waste of your time. That's a waste of your money. It's a waste of everything. And you're just encouraging more kids to play Stairway to Heaven and Freebird. I don't know. That's probably doing other stuff now. Maybe they're doing. You think they're up to Sweet Home Alabama? Yeah. I'm hearing for Davis. Looks like he's going to come on, which is now. Anyway, I'm going to play the sponsors piece. TrueFire.com. Learn to play there, and you won't have to go through it. Maybe what they're playing now is Eruption. I don't know. Probably something even newer than that. I don't know what the big song when people are taking guitar lessons is. The one they request most these days. Somebody educate me on that. TrueFire.com. Just go there and learn how to play everything. Learn how to play shit the right way. Learn finger picking and Travis picking, so you can be like me and do cowboy videos in your kitchen. Or you can learn to play jazz or classical or rock and pop and soul and funk and Motown and all that kind of stuff. TrueFire.com, best way to learn guitar online. Lots of great teachers. TrueFire.com.
Over 2 million guitar players worldwide learn, practice, and play with TrueFire. Our learning tools and massive library of video lessons will ignite your technical skills, harmonic knowledge, rhythm playing, and soloing chops. TrueFire's educators are the best in the biz, from Grammy Award winners to world-renowned artists. You'll have access to an unparalleled faculty of over 300 top-notch blues, rock, jazz, country, fingerstyle, and acoustic guitar educators. Using our desktop and mobile apps, you'll work with TrueFire's multi-angle video lessons on any device, anytime, anywhere. Integrated learning tools such as video synced tab and notation, slow-mo, looping, practice jam tracks, and many more handy controls accelerate your learning experience. TrueFire's style-specific learning paths guide you every step of the way. Use our assessment tools to find your starting point, then follow our lesson recommendations and track your progress as you work through your personalized TrueFire study plan. Progress faster with private one-on-one instruction, group lessons, multi-track video jams, live streams, song lessons, student forums, TrueFire's Riff magazine, premium jam tracks, and much, much more. With thousands of 5-star ratings and reviews from amateur and pro players alike, you'll find yourself in good company with the world's most comprehensive guitar learning platform. Grab your guitar and ignite your musicality. Sign up free for an all-access trial today.
Oh, yeah. Now, that guy's voice. I was just thinking about, because I went to grab a fresh cup of coffee while I am awaiting the arrival of David Sutton during the Podathon with Erica Rose. First time we actually spoke. We've been communicating back and forth on Twitter for probably 2 years now. But first time I actually spoke to her, and she got to hear my voice. Now, obviously, I've heard her voice because she's a comedian and she's got specials out. And I've heard her, I've seen her work, and I know her voice. But she had never heard my voice before. So I was asking her where she was from, because the accent that she has, I thought she was an LA girl, but turns out she's from Boston. But I asked her where she heard in my voice, and she just said great radio voice, which I take that as a sincere compliment. This morning my voice is probably lower than it's been in a couple of weeks here, especially with the COVID shit that went on and all that kind of stuff. So, but kind of flattering to hear that great radio voice from somebody you admire like that. So I wanted to send her a clip from this morning, because I had the real, hey baby, it's me, Barry White, on the radio voice. Looks like the young man has made it here. I will recap. Last week at this time, I was expecting a young man named David Sutton, who I believe is a young comedian working in the Tampa, Florida area. And if I have that wrong, he will correct me. And he didn't show up. And this was at a string of about 2 weeks of having a lot of people not show up. Not everybody didn't show up, but 3 shows out of a week didn't show up. And then a couple more the next week. And on the evening show, I had some cancellations. Now, that's different than a no-show. Cancellation is basically they write to you the day before and say, oh, something came up tomorrow. I got to babysit the kids, or I got to clean my toilet. Whatever it is, they have an excuse for not being able to make the show the next day. And then you have to scramble to get a guest or just cancel the show. So I was really frustrated at that point. And then Davis didn't show up last Monday morning. And so I started to rag on him pretty hard. But I caught myself, to be fair about myself, not to beat up on myself too hard about this. I did catch myself in the moment, in real time, and said, I shouldn't make him pay for all the assholes who fucked me over in the last 2 weeks. It's not his fault that he just happens to be the one to take the brunt for it. So I did kind of back off on that. But so I ended the show, and then about a half hour after the show, I got a Facebook message from him saying that he thought it was today, this Monday, the 22nd. And I didn't bother responding to that. It's just like, yeah, I was still a little frustrated. I didn't bother getting back to him. I just let it sit with that. Did my evening show. I think I might have had a day gig too. Went out and played a gig during the day, then came home and did my evening show. As I was ending my evening show, I got a message from him on Facebook saying he went back and listened to the program. I guess he heard me saying some not nice things about him too, and he said, "I'm sorry, all those other people." I don't know the exact language. He said, "I'm sorry, those other people didn't show up too, and I'm really sorry." Which showed me something. Redemption, man. I believe in redemption, and I believe in that's the right attitude to have. And so I said to him, "Well, you want to try again on next Monday, which is the day he originally planned to do it anyway." But I will bust your balls a little bit. I will kind of have some fun with this, if you're okay with that. And he said, yes, I am. And so that showed me something more. So, I'm expecting big things character-wise from this young man. I will say that yesterday when I sent him the link, he started to give it back to me a little bit, like if I feel like it. So he's here now, ladies and gentlemen. Please, where's my fucking mouse not working? Damn it! Please open your minds and help me welcome Davis Sutton to Coffee with the Doug. Davis, welcome.
Hey man, thanks for having me on again.
Wow, cool voice, man. Give me your radio voice, boy. Come on, give me a radio read.
My radio voice.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Davis, good guy. You showed me a lot by first of all listening to the program that you were scheduled to be on, and then writing back to me and saying you were sorry and wanted to do it again. You showed me a lot, and I don't think a lot of people your age have that kind of character, and I salute you at least for that much. So thanks for doing that. And now you're in Tampa, yes?
Yeah, Tampa, St. Pete.
How long have you been in the comedy game?
About a year and a half.
Year and a half.
Yeah.
Were you always planning on doing it? Is it something you always wanted to do?
Not really. I kind of just always liked watching stand up, and then just one time I had the crazy idea. I was like, I went and watched an open mic, and then I was like, all right, well, that was pretty bad, so I could not be as bad as them, I bet. And then went the next week.
So was it? So you went up and signed up, and did you have material written out? Or were you just thinking, I'm just going to be funny because my friends think I'm funny. I'm just going to go up there and be funny.
Yeah, no. For a couple of months, I had like a specific thing written out, like word for word and timed. And it's obviously supposed to be 5 minutes the first time.
Wow! Did you just lock up
Because
on
I was
me?
just blowing through it like I was reading a textbook, and then it was horrible. And then I didn't do it again for a while.
Yeah. Now, so you've been doing it a year and a half. Tell me about this hot mess thing, because when I first put out that you were going to be on last week, somebody said, "Oh, I was with him at Hot Mess. I felt so bad for him." What? And I don't know anything about it, but somebody felt bad for you. And then I saw there's a picture of you like sitting in the hallway with your hand on your head. What was that about the hot mess?
Oh, it was horrible. It's like a hot wings show. So you do it's like 6 people. It's technically a contest. You all do 5. You go up, you do 5 minutes of stand up, just normal, and you eat 2 of like the hottest wings in the world. So it was like 5 million Scoville levels, and then you have to do 5 minutes of stand up after that. And
Wow.
So And so the first 5 minutes, I was like already flubbing my words because I was so nervous about the wings. And then, I could barely talk during the set, but it was fun. But I do not have a high tolerance for that. So, the other people were struggling, but like I thought I was going to die.
So I thought you had bombed so badly that it was your first like really, really tough experience with feeling like, wow, I just totally, embarrassed myself in front of a group of people. But it wasn't that. It was.
No.
So I'm not good with hot foods either. I can't. Whose idea was that? Like to mix fucking hot foods with comedy? That doesn't make any
It's
sense
crazy.
to me. Yeah.
It's a fun show, though. I mean, the audience loves it. Like, it's the easiest way to not bomb, because all you have to do is not talk, and they think it's funny because, you're so fucked up by the food. So it's like, that's really the only people who don't do well are the people that, like, eat it and they're not affected, and then they just do 5 minutes of normal stand up, and it's like, well, that's boring. You know, they don't want to watch that anymore.
Uh, what is Kevin saying in here? Somebody in the chat room says they want to see comics rub their eyes after the wings.
Yeah.
Get the hot shit in their eyes. That's fucked up. But so yeah, just on the hot stuff. Have you ever been to New Mexico and tasted chili, the chili or the peppers that come out of there? Because those
No.
man, don't. If you don't have a tolerance for hot foods, and I don't,
Yeah.
you don't want to do that. So plans now, plans in comedy. You got big aspirations. Is this going to be your life?
I mean, I hope so. I have 1 year left of college at in St. Pete, so you know, obviously we'll be here for another year, just doing as much stand up around Tampa and stuff. And then at that point, I don't know. I think I'd probably want to stay around here just because it's such a good place to get better here. Like, there's so much stage time, get up so much each week. You know, just kind of try to keep getting up in the clubs around here as much as possible, and then, you know, in a couple years, see where I'm at, decide if I want to go to maybe a bigger place by then.
What are you going to school for? What's your major?
Political science, but you know, don't know why. Don't know why.
I started as a political science major, but I didn't last. I mean, yeah, I had to declare something, and that's what I declared as a freshman. But like 6 months, I changed my major. So, is there any politics? Do you include politics in your comedy?
No, not really. I mean, like, you know, maybe something top, but never something I would like keep. You know.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's odd that you're studying this in school. I would think now, you know, I know it's a divisive thing, but I think there's so much potential material that comes up in classes and stuff. Do you, in the discussions in classes, do you tend to kind of be a smart ass or, I mean, inject some humor into political debates in your poli-sci classes?
Kind of. I used to more like when I was younger, when I was like a freshman and sophomore, but it's kind of like the professors don't like it. And so it's like most of the time it's just not worth it. And I kind of just, you know,
yeah,
don't try to mess around too much.
Florida's a very conservative state. Are you conservative?
No, not conservative. More just kind of in the middle, which I guess nowadays that's become a little more conservative than it used to. So
yeah. Oh no, I can't even find the middle. But I think a lot of people say that, and I say that all the time. I don't even know I try to take. This is what I tell people. I try to take every issue on its own rather than lump into, because I think if you put yourself in a bucket, you almost have to be tied to certain opinions about things that sometimes you don't even have no opinion about an issue, and sometimes it's your hot button thing and it's something you care deeply about. But it's like, if you're a conservative, you're supposed to be anti-abortion, pro-gun, and all that stuff. Well, what if you're anti-abortion and for more gun rights, more gun legislation stuff? Now that puts a conflict in the whole party, issues tied together. Well, this is how we feel about this issue. This is how we feel about this issue. I like free thinking, so take every issue on its own merit and discuss it for what it is, rather than trying to say this is our platform. And this is if you believe in this, you must be a conservative. If you believe in this, you must be a liberal. So I'll get off the politics now. In Tampa, it's not. Is it as big a scene? I think the big scene is not that far away in Orlando. I mean, those two cities are not that far away. But I'm thinking that's where the action is in comedy. No.
I mean, I'd say they're pretty comparable. Like, you mean just in terms of like the Orlando Improv, or?
Yeah, just having more opportunity, because that's where the tourists are going. That's where, that's thought of as the entertainment capital of Florida because of, Universal and Disney, all that kind of crap that's there. A lot of opportunities in Tampa, a lot of rooms to play.
Yeah, there's just, I think during COVID, a lot of people moved here. Like a lot of bigger names, sort of, just because we kind of never stopped doing it.
Right.
And so then after the pandemic, now it's just there's so many good rooms like within 45 minutes to an hour. Like there's probably an open mic or show almost every night with like at least a decent crowd of like 10, 15 people.
Yeah. I'm interested now. You being a poli-sci major, what would be the career if it isn't stand-up comedy? What would be the fallback career? Because this was my concern when I was a poli-sci major. Like, what am I going to be? Like a political analyst for a newspaper? What would you do with that degree that you could fall back on if the stand-up stuff doesn't turn out to be what you?
Yeah. Well, I started getting my real estate license, so I think maybe that's really nothing to do with
yeah,
with just a degree in something. So
right.
yeah.
Is that a big program? Do you are a lot of young people into the poli-sci program?
I just transferred back from South Carolina for my last year here because it's where I was from. I know it wasn't that big in my last school, but I don't know what it's like. I have no idea.
Oh, so you haven't started yet. It starts soon, right?
Today, actually, yeah, right after this.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Yeah, for some reason they start earlier in certain other states. I know in New Mexico they started the last week in August when I went to school there too. New York probably next week or the week after. Yeah, so that's it. So you're not originally from Tampa. You're from South Carolina.
No, I'm from Tampa, but I went to Furman University in Greenville, South Carolina.
Wow.
And I went there for 3 years, and then I just wanted to finish up at home, so I've been back here for like a year.
So you were doing comedy there in South Carolina?
That's like the first place I ever did it, like 2 or 3 years ago, but it was so bad that I did it like twice. So that's why I say a year and a half, because it was technically like 3 years ago, but I'd been on stage like 3 times over the course of like a year. So
wow. Now, when you first came on, I noticed your voice, and I think you do have a great voice for radio. Any thoughts about, because that is a lot of stand-up comedians start that way because it gives you some training in just like doing way more than an hour every day. Any thoughts about looking into that? I mean, getting into radio at all as a supplement while you're working on your comedy career?
yeah, I mean, I hadn't necessarily thought about it, I guess, but I think I'd like it. I think it'd be fun. It's funny you say my voice because that's like one of my bigger jokes for a while. It's a lot of stuff about my voice and stuff.
What about your voice?
Just that sound. It's pretty weird sounding voice, I guess. Most people.
I don't think it's weird sounding. I think it's beyond your years. I don't expect young people, like when I see a young man your age, I expect it to be a little higher pitched.
Yeah.
It's a little, but I would look into the radio program at the university that you're going to or college that you're going to, and if you can be funny on the air, comedy clubs will call you and ask. I get it all the time. I get people wanting me to get into stand up. Now I don't want to do it.
Oh, so you don't do stand up?
I have 35 years ago, and I was supposed to do one Friday night, but I got out of it because we did a 12-hour podathon on Saturday for a cause, and that was my excuse for getting out of it. Now, I'm terrified by it. I do music, and I was explaining to the audience before that when I do acoustic duo shows or acoustic solo shows, I tell lots of jokes, but it's different than stand-up because I have a security blanket. I have a guitar in front of me, or I have somebody else on stage with me.
Yeah.
It's not that I'm naked with a microphone, and if I suck, there's no because with a guitar in my hand, if I tell a joke and it doesn't go over, I just go right into the next song. Like, okay, they didn't like I didn't even say it. But to tell a joke and it doesn't register with anybody, and then have to tell more jokes, it would unnerve me a little bit. I just don't have this. I don't have the character for it, I guess. Anyway.
Yeah, you definitely gotta. You gotta have the thick skin for it because there's so much. Even like most open mics, even if they're all right, it's like there's 7 people in the audience. Most people probably aren't doing that well. So.
Yeah.
You kind of got to used just looking at an old man just staring at you blankly, like he doesn't even see anyone up there.
Yeah. So with that, the AIDS thing, do you get different response? Like old people get your humor because I'm an old man. I'm 63, but I do enjoy young comics. But I know a lot of people my age, if they were exposed to a young comic, they probably wouldn't get half of the references, and probably their mind is still for comedy still 40 years in the past. Like they're
Yeah.
not. So with your audience, I mean, people who come to comedy clubs, do you have a certain niche that really gets you?
No, I like to think my stuff's pretty just kind of general, like not really tailored for anyone specific. I guess maybe a little bit with older people, but that's probably just like you said, like younger comedians in general. Like as soon as I walk on stage, I think a part of them's like fuck this kid, like
Yeah.
this 18-year-old trying to talk to me. But I don't think like any of my stuff is like, they wouldn't even know what I'm talking about or anything like that.
Right. Well, if you talk about pootie pie or
Yeah.
or any of that kind of stuff, people were, I don't know. A lot of people my age don't. I struggle with it all the time. I have to ask the people in the chat room to kind of clue me into lots of stuff because I am. But at least I'm cognizant of the fact that I'm old and out of touch about stuff, and try to keep try to keep learning, try to keep an open attitude. Now, as with the youth thing. I totally support young comics. I know a lot of people say, have this attitude of being so young. You haven't really lived your life yet. How can you possibly know about funny if you haven't had all of life's experiences yet? But I come from an era where 15-year-old Eddie Murphy, and that might be like a reference that might not get, but 15-year-old Eddie Murphy was fucking killing it. Was fucking killing it to the point by the time he was 18, he was the biggest star in America on Saturday Night Live. So I am definitely always looking for young comics that can really, and I don't hold age against them. I'm not an ageist. I don't think you have to be older to be funny. I do think you can be too old to be funny. I know.
Yeah.
I know people who were 50 and 60 who started 50 and started their comic careers at 50 or late 40s, and I think that's too late. I think I think the ship has sailed by then.
I think that's fair because I mean, obviously, everyone's like not great when you first start, but it seems like whenever I see like really like that like late 40s into 50s 60s guys who start trying it, like they're even worse than most people. It's like, what are you talking about up there? It's some insane like
bod jokes.
Yeah.
The jokes themselves, they might not be about dad bods, but they're as goofy as a dad bod.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or it'll be like super dirty. It goes the other way, and it's like, this guy's not even telling jokes. He's literally just like, my cock, and is like, fuck. And it's like, what?
Oh, did you see did you see the show last week? Is that what you're referencing?
No.
I had a guy, Tony Viagra, on who's older than me.
Tony Viagra.
Tony Viagra. And his every single word out of it, like every other word out of his mouth is fuck or cunt. Those are his two words that he falls back on. Like he can't say a sentence without saying fuck 5 times and a cunt at least once. It's like, wait a minute, dude. That to me, you've been in it 10 years and you're still doing that. That's a lesson that needs to be learned. I mean, usually young comics start that way and get it straightened out pretty quickly. But if you've been in 10 years and you're still doing that, it's a tough thing.
Yeah, I definitely started a little dirtier than I am now.
Well, it's not even being dirty. It's just relying too much on, because I think if you oversay fuck, when you really need to say fuck for impact or whatever, it loses all its power because you've said it 100 times already. Like
for sure.
Now, yeah. So with shows now, you got stuff lined up coming up?
Yeah, I probably do like a show or two every week, and then just the open mics the other nights, just working on stuff.
Right. How long do you do?
Probably most shows like around 10 minutes. Like I've done 20. That's the longest I've ever done.
Wow.
But that was, probably shouldn't. That was too much. Like I'd really stretch for that. But
You stuck for 10 minutes of it. The first 10 minutes were good, and then
yeah, I'd say probably like around like 15 is like okay, I can do that. Like that'll be a decently tight 15.
cool. Do you have a strong closer in mind? Because I'm noticing with specials, because everybody's got a friggin' special now. At the end of a special, sometimes it feels like I just ran out of time. Like the hour is up, even though I'm not ending on my strongest material. It's just, oh, that's all I got for you. Thanks for coming. I love you, people, and bye, and walk off stage. It's like show business used to be all about big closings. Like, you save your best for last. And I think that's kind of lost on a lot in comedy now. A lot of people who I was putting specials out, they're just ending on wherever they are in the set when the 60 minutes is up. Do you have a closer that you've got, a steady closer that kills?
Uh, yeah. There's one I use most of the time. It's more just like I'd say like 3 bits that I'd say like are clearly my strongest, and so I just try to close on one of those.
Right.
But yeah, I definitely agree that people will like they have like a minute left and they hit a line with like a big pop, and then it's like you have like 20 seconds, just end it there. But they try to like get a couple more lines in, and then it's like, why would you end it like that? It's crazy.
Right. Yeah. And it's disturbing to me because it leaves you feeling like, as an audience member, especially if it's a tape special, it makes you feel like, was that the end? It's like,
Yeah.
it's very strange. Do you have mentors or like a support group in the comedy world? People, older guys, or I shouldn't say older, but people who've been more established who give you advice or kind of help you out in any way?
Yeah, ton of guys in Tampa that have been doing it for a long time. I talk to all the time and just, you know, ask what they think about stuff, get advice. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, cool. Now, do you have? This is an odd question, I guess. Okay, I've never asked this before, but I'm seeing in sports now, uh, baseball players, football players, whatever, when they come on the field, they have music that they ask the broadcaster to play. When you come on stage, do you have like your intro music, your walk on music, or no?
No, I mean, most of the shows they don't even
They
either
don't have a
have music
facility play yet.
or
Yeah.
even ask. There's one open mic that I do a lot that they do have music playing. So I guess you could ask. I never have because I don't know what I'm gonna know. It seems
I
a
would
little
think about that because it's part of branding, and I think because baseball players do it now, and I thought it was smart when I first uh, uh, got hip to it, and now the more I see it, the more impact it has because they're pretty careful in choosing their walk on songs and all that kind of stuff. And to me, it used to be that way all the time. Like if you see a late night talk show when a comedian comes out, they generally have music picked out that is specific to that comedian, and it definitely sets the tone for what they're all about. So I would definitely suggest it and bring like a I don't know, it's some kind of MP3 player or your phone or whatever, and say, "Here, can you just play this 20 seconds?" And when I come on, it will really be helpful. It's just something to
yeah.
think about.
What do you think? What would be a good song for me based on
I don't know.
20 minutes of talking to me?
I got to see your act, and I definitely want to do that. I'm not in Tampa, but
Yeah.
yeah. So when do you graduate next year? Like in June, you graduate, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I got a year left.
Yeah. Do you look down the road and say like next year after graduation, this is the plan for me, and think about maybe hitting the road a little bit or any of that kind of stuff?
I think I think I'd probably want to work here for another year or two. And then a lot of the guys I know just will go out, which I've done it a couple times, like just go out on a road trip, just hit a scene for like 3 or 4 days. Like I was in Austin for a week. So that was cool just to see what it's like there. But I guess still you have this as the home base for a little while longer.
Somebody in the chat room said I kissed a girl as an entrance song. Now you can't. Obviously, that's a joke. But you can't even give advice at this point until we see you act and know what you're about.
Yeah,
But
of course.
you're not. You don't seem to be like. How do I say this? Edgy? Are you edgy at all? Like
Not
pushing
really.
buttons?
No, not on the whole. But I think not being like that is why when I can throw in like an edgy kind of joke out of nowhere, it hits a little harder because it's like, oh, I really didn't see that coming.
Right.
Whereas like the guys who are, it's kind of every joke is like, all right, here's gonna be like the fucked up twist, but it's like when you don't do that a lot, then you can do it, once in a blue moon. It's like, oh gosh,
Yeah.
I didn't see that coming.
Yeah. Who are some of the comedians that you admire that inspire you and you look up to?
I mean, obviously the big ones, everyone, Louis, Tom,
Louis.
yeah.
I like Louis a lot, but still I find because you know what, and I should have let you finish your thought there, but Louis was on Rogan last week talking with Joe List about the movie he did for Joe List, and I was wondering because Louis is still he's big as ever, selling out rooms, but there's still half the world that hates him and wants to cut his balls off and shove them down his throat, and I'm wondering does that I know for a fact admitting that you like him will get you hate mail because I get it all the time. But
Really?
yeah, people will get angry at me like how you supporting a pervert and a woman abuser and all this stuff. Like I don't support that part of his personality. Whatever. Yeah, I don't judge him for beating off in front of women. By the way, who he asked permission.
Yeah.
Now, I know a lot of women will say, well, the power dynamic and all that stuff. But what I'm curious about it is like somebody with Joe List who kind of ties his wagon to Louis' fame. Now, Louis directed this movie. Does that rub off on him, that hatred? I know I get it just for admitting that I like Louis C.K. I got to think it's kind of a double-edged sword there. So I think it was pretty brave of you to come out and say, obviously, Louis.
Yeah. I kind of thought at this point, most people, I mean, obviously there's people who still didn't like him, but it seemed to me it was more the outrage at the time. And now that he's back, not many people really care.
Oh.
Maybe that's wrong. I don't know.
Follow Jen Kirkman on Twitter and see how true that is. Wow. No, there are women in comedy care a lot. Women and Jen Kirkman, I guess, is one of the people that he jerked off in front of. So she's going to carry that to her grave. But she definitely wants to see him castrated, and has a large following of other women who are on that. Still want to see him castrated. I don't think that will ever go away. I think I do think he is more accepted now, and a lot of people are starting to get over that. A lot of people were initially against him, but I think that's something he will carry with him the rest of his life. And listen, I don't think it's going to hurt him financially or in any way. I think like I said, he's huge, but there are lots of haters out there. Yeah. So but he's an old guy too. He's my age or close enough to my age. Anybody your age or close to your age that really inspires you?
Close to my age. I mean, there's not a lot of pretty well-known people, I guess, the low 20s, but Tom Segura was probably my favorite. I mean, he's not even close to my age, but if you know him, he was probably like the guy that in his podcast that like got like actually made me want to do it for the first time.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I like Segura. Not that big a fan of Bert, who he does podcast with.
Yeah.
Not that I don't think Bert is funny ever. I just think Bert is really, and there's something to be learned from him if you're paying attention at your age. He's really good at self-promotion. He's really good at making himself seem like he is Louis C.K. on Louis C.K.'s level, or Tom Segura's level, or Dave Chappelle's level, or some of the really. But he's not. He's got the hype. He's got the hype behind him.
And he's so good at podcasts and like podcasting, I think. At least I think, and you know, those podcasts are so big that he kind of turned that into, and then yeah, like you said, the marketing from that, just because he already got like the social media following that. I mean,
Right.
what he
That's
really,
how he started, and I
yeah,
believe I'm not certain about this. I know it was in Florida somewhere, but that's how he got famous in the first place. Was in this, he was known as a party animal, and some magazine did something about top party schools, and everybody on campus pointed to him, and then he was on like in a magazine cover and all that stuff, and milked that.
yeah, Rolling Stone,
Oh, it was Rolling Stone.
yeah.
Yeah, you follow these things better than I do, I guess. Well, yeah. So I appreciate all that stuff, but yeah, I guess there aren't a lot of really young people that are breaking through now, and uh, that is a shame, in my opinion. That we could use some more youth in the big public consciousness of comedy. Um, I don't think I don't think that comedy, is generally respected enough as that people, because people my age don't even know who Bill Burr is, don't know who they know Dave Chappelle only because of the Chappelle Show. Most people my age don't know Tom Segura at all. They've never even, if I said Tom
Mhm.
Segura, they'd say, "What is he? Was he running for office someplace or something like that?" They wouldn't know. Um, so it's just an interesting thing. Do you think are on the fan level for friends your age and people you go to school with, do they follow comedy like people follow like pop music and stuff?
Yeah, I think it has gotten bigger in the last few, like probably 5 years. I think with younger people, like a lot more people that I'm friends with now. I think are like I hear more and more like, oh, you're doing stand up. Like I love this person. I love this person, and I'm like, you know who that is? Like that's crazy. So I think it. I definitely think it's growing with younger people for
Yeah.
sure nowadays.
Now, with writing material, do you actually sit down and write, or do you, or just like, I don't know. Tell me about how your material comes to you.
Well, first I just have like a notes thing on my phone. So if I, you know, think of an idea at any time throughout I just write down like the idea. And then when I actually want to write and like flesh it out, I more just kind of like talk it out first. And then when I get sort of the bullet points of where I want to go, I write those down, but never like, you know, the words. Cause I don't like, when I first started, I would write like word for word. And that didn't work because I would just kind of be like rehearsing it and talking up there. And it's just not, I like to not like know where I'm going with it, but not know exactly so I can kind of just figure out the way to say it while I'm up there.
Does that ever present a problem? Because when I have done public speaking, I have gone
Mhm.
out with a rough outline, understood that stuff instead of writing out word for word. But at times, I like, especially when I first started doing it, memory loss, not memory loss, but just stage coma, whatever you call that, where you just have like, I know the material well. I've kind of studied my outline. I know where I'm going with this, but then you just draw a blank and like, I don't know what to say here, or I don't know where to go. Did that ever present a problem with that style of preparing material?
Sometimes for sure, you know, I can like start a story or like hit one point and like that'll even get a laugh. And then I'm like, wait, what's the
Yeah,
point of this joke?
yeah,
And then, like, I don't
yeah,
know,
right,
which that
yeah.
sucks because I'm like, oh man, that was like doing well. I just forgot what the point of this even was, but not too much. And then like when I'm doing jokes like that, where I'm really just like fleshing it out, those would all be like at like open mic sort of, you know? So
Yeah,
if I forget it or whatever, it's like, you know, just move on.
right.
It's not the end of the world. Like I wouldn't be doing that at like a good show with a bunch of people just, you know, just talking up there. But
Yeah, I do think that's the best way to be, working from an outline rather than the word for word guys. But some of George Carlin was a word for word guy, true to every single word he wrote, and he
mhm.
was great. But it takes a certain kind of, I don't know, theater or performance technique to be able to go word for word and deliver it as if it's spontaneous and new every time, and
Yeah,
make it feel authentic to people. So
yeah.
yeah, got to work out what's best for you. Now, do you use any substances that help you get high at all, or drink at all to help you tap into your funny?
Never high. I would never never do that. That would go really bad. When I first started, I would definitely drink because I was just so nervous. Like I drank almost every time for like at least a beer or two or something. At this point, I don't like. I mean, I'm not like I won't go up not sober, but like I definitely wouldn't ever have more than like 2 beers at this point.
Yeah.
But it's not the kind of thing where I have to. It's just if we're there and hanging out, if we get a free one or whatever, I'll have it. But
yeah, that's good. You don't want to make a crutch out of it.
Yeah.
But I understand just to take the edge off, the nerves off a little bit the first couple of times but the problem is sometimes you do that and you don't realize that you've already taken the edge off, and now I'm gonna really get drunk here, and you don't ever want to go up on stage like sloppy
No.
drunk and all that stuff. That's not funny ever.
Yeah.
Hands off audience. But no, you don't get high ever, right? Wow, that's pretty.
No. So I mean, just in general, I get all panicky. So
Yeah.
going on stage like that would be a disaster, I think.
You do? Now, I have to say, I never get high on stage, and I used to when I was in my 20s. Though I was in a band where every time we took a break, I was in a 13-piece band, 13 people in the band, and we take a break, and everybody in the band would already have a joint rolled, and everybody would light them at the same time. So there were 13 joints going around. Like, why doesn't everybody just smoke their own joint? But I hadn't for 40 years. I hadn't until like 2 or 3 years ago. First time I vaped, and I didn't know anything about vaping. It was like, yeah. And I said, well, this is cool. I could actually get high on stage, and because it was still illegal here, and nobody would know the big deal. And so I did right before we started to play, and I took a bunch of hits, and then counted off the first song, and I was like, I don't even know what song we're playing. I forgot how to play this fucking thing. And for the first 10 minutes, it was just like that scene in Back to the Future where Marty is like ready to go back, and like he's losing all control of his hands and stuff. It was just noise. And, like people are looking at me like, "What's wrong?" So no, getting high on stage. I guess that's my point. Don't get high.
It's probably yeah. I had a scare last night about having to miss this again. I just ate some ice cream, with just like I was like, oh, it's had a little weed, and I was like, I can have a little ice cream. I thought I was gonna have to go to the hospital. I thought I was gonna die last night. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna sleep through this today and stuff. But I was fine this morning. It was awful though. Oh my god.
Do you have allergies to it? Oh, we just lost them. Well, that would be a funny way. The ice cream ending, we're going to call that. We'll give him a minute to see if he comes back. I do have to. Yeah, there he is. That's a funny way to end the program.
Oh.
I had ice cream. I was sick. Bye. That's it. Well, that's the big ending that we were looking for. Ending on a big closing note.
Yeah.
I do have to say goodbye to Governor's comedy podcast right now. Governor's, we'll see you tomorrow at this time. Governor's podcast, check them out.